Hello, welcome back to another of my monologues, and thanks for joining me. Thanks for keeping the channel going and supporting what I do. Today I am going to smoke my pipe, by the way, and I know a number of people say, well, I can't watch when you smoke your pipe because they find it interrupts the flow apparently when I light the pipe and do that, and I find that really interesting, really. People have become very impatient and I want the information, so that you can move on to the next video really quickly and get that. And my argument is that we're all going incredibly quickly in our lives and we don't slow down enough. The pipe is something that I've discovered really helps me think, because it forces me to slow down when I relight the pipe and think about what I'm trying to say. So so bye to those people. Thanks for watching this far, and it's nice to have met you, and toodle pip. But for the rest of you who've decided that it is worth hanging on in case there's something that this old bald twit will come out with that is useful, I appreciate that. And of course, these are just my views, they're just my thoughts. This isn't a paid for service and you don't have to watch. I know that there are a bunch of people who like to watch who hate everything I do, and instead of watching stuff that they actually enjoy and have, you know, fun in their life, they submit themselves to me, and that does seem very strange as well. But you know, the world is full of very odd individuals, and I'm one of them, so I suppose I can't argue. I want to talk about confidence in ourselves today. You know, the salesman that knock on the door and say, oh, have you thought what would happen if you died? If you died, and what would happen to your young ones, you know, the dependents? You better get some life insurance. Or we're told, oh, your windows aren't secure. What will happen if the wind gets through the cracks? You know, better get some new ones, hadn't you? Or there's one, of course, that we can't get out of at the moment, and that is, oh, if you have an accident when you drive, you better have some driving insurance, whatever it's called. And, you know, we're forced into that, unless, of course, you want the people in comedy outfits and their funny sirens and their flashing lights and their big long batons to come belting after you. So we have to take that. But these guys, they're selling fear, aren't they? They're selling fear, and also they're selling, well, we'll look after the people who you leave behind, or we'll sort everything out for you. Because we're constantly being dumbed down. We can't do it ourselves. We can't look after it ourselves. We're having to have these insurance policies all the time, just in case. Now, I remember I worked in the corporate film business for a long time, and I was told, oh, you've got to have your cameras insured in case they get nicked. You've got to have public liability in case somebody trips over your tripod, and all this. And I paid for these things for some time. And in the end, I just got a bit fed up with it, because I just thought, this is money for old rope for some people. They're selling me the fear that if I don't do this, then something dreadful will happen. And in the end, I just couldn't be bothered to pay any of these things and just carried on. And, you know, I had confidence in myself not to put the tripod in a stupid place so that people would trip over it. And if I dropped the camera, then, okay, it's my fault, I'll own up to it and not go, oh, I dropped the camera. I remember when I first moved into this place some 35 years ago, we used to have some friends that we used to see who had their own place, and they'd moved into it, and they had a white carpet. And they said to us when we went round, this is in times when I was married in my previous relationship, well, previous several back now, and they said, yeah, we dropped some red wine on the carpet, foolishly. It was our own fault. And they said, we claimed on the insurance. We just said it was an accident. And I said, oh, what do you mean? They said, well, you know, they said, this white carpet they had was the whole of their flat. But they claimed to have the carpet replaced for the whole of the flat, because it was getting a bit grubby now, because they come in with their shoes and whatever. And I said, well, that's a bit outrageous, isn't it? He said, well, we're paying the insurance, aren't we? I said, yeah, but you're paying for the insurance, you know, surely just that room would have been sufficient. You know, I was trying to be seeing both sides. And they said, no, we we got it. So we're always doing it. You know, we pretend that we've dropped the phone down the. I just want a new phone. I pretend I dropped the phone down the loo. They never asked, and so we get a new phone for free. And I thought to myself, well, that's canny, but that's not really fair, is it? You're not being fair to yourself. Anyway, I mentioned that as a by the way. And the whole point of all of this is to say that we've started to forget how to take responsibility for ourselves. It seems to me, and I've mentioned this in various different of these monologues, that one of the biggest problems that we have at the moment, it seems to me, and you can believe or disbelieve as you see fit, is AI. AI is making the seeking knowledge now so easy that we don't have to bother. We don't have to bother to traipse down to the library to find a book. We don't bother to look at old archived material. We don't bother even to go to a search engine like Google or Yahoo or DuckDuckGo or Firefox or, you know, whichever one it is. We don't bother. We can go, apparently, I mean, I don't use it, but apparently it's at the stroke at your fingers. You can go on AI and you can do this searching business. Excuse me, lighting my pipe. But we can do this so easily, and it will come up with something. And we you know, it's black and white, it's on the screen, and we're told it's so good and everybody's promoting it. So we're being brainwashed into thinking that we must trust this. We must trust what AI says. It is scraped the internet and it's found the truth. And the other day when Julia and I were at the Sounds Beautiful festival, I did a talk a bit about should we trust AI, and wondered how many people were trusting AI, and a number of people came back and said, no, we actually find it quite useful, it's really good. And one woman, bless her, and this is not against her particularly, but it's something I've heard a number of people say, is that I have I'm developed a very good relationship with AI. Now, it seems to me people are treating AI as if it's some form of God. And it's also been suggested that actually AI is really in the hands of Satan. I don't believe either of those. It is just a computer system, very advanced, but it's very cheeky how it operates, or the programmers have made it very cheeky. And some people have even suggested that AI is running everything and it's behind the scenes of all of this. The problem when you start looking for truth is you become incredibly vulnerable to ideas which are actually so far-fetched that in ordinary world you wouldn't think of it, that one's ordinary experience is suddenly put over to one side, and we trust all these different suggestions and weird things. What I'm really trying to get to is that AI, so much that's on the computer and so many other things, is supplanting the confidence that we have in ourselves. We are all we need at the end of the day. We are incredible things, whatever it is that we are, this consciousness that inhabits this physical body, that the AI, the computers, the facial recognition, the direction that we're being pushed in, the 5G, the radiation, the diversion about what's going on in the news, the wars here, there and everywhere, the television, the Netflix accounts, the Amazon Prime, the big corporation takeover, all of this, the spraying of the skies, the miseducation of children in the state schools, all of this, and it's a hell of a lot when you think of it, isn't it? It's a massive amount of things, is to divert us from the confidence we have in ourselves. We are the most powerful thing, and yet the powers that wouldn't be, the powers that oughtn't be, the powers, the dark forces, whatever you want to call these people who are manipulating things outside of us, and they're only able to manipulate those things because we let them. We let them do it. because we go, oh, yes, that's nice, I'll have that. Or I'll go to that shop that sells lots of multicoloured things that's easy to cook and it's only round the corner and it's full of crap. Yes, I'll eat that because that will, of course, help me be dumber because of all the poisons in the food, instead of actually attempting to grow something myself or support those people who do grow things themselves and people like farmers and what have you. No, they have to do all of these things because we are so incredibly powerful, and they have to divert us to stop us from thinking for ourselves, understanding who we are and what we are and how we can use our gut reaction, how we can use our intuition, how we know what is right and wrong, how they are trying to subvert the morals and the ethics of us. And it's a huge task for them. And they're spending absolute billions on doing it to try and stop us from understanding who we are and the power we have. And yet and you can see it. And I ask myself, I sit here and I smoke my pipe and I think, why are they spraying the skies? Why are they trying to teach children all these weird things that they teach them? Why have they infiltrated the public authorities and governments and things? Why do they want us to eat crap food? Why do they put fluoride in the water? Why all of this? Why do they have wars going on and they orchestrate these wars so that innocent men, women and children? Why? Because they're scared that we will understand who we are and reject them. We give them the power all the time, and we don't have to. And we're constantly going, oh, we're going to rebut this, and I'm going to push back against this, and I'm going to say no to this, and I'm not going to... We are the most powerful thing, and they are so scared that we know this, and that they spend absolute fortunes and use every ounce of technology to pull us in, because we're very gullible to those lovely shiny trinkets that they keep offering us. Look what I've got. I've got a little AI thing. You don't have to think anymore. And those that follow that path, that follow the child catcher, will get ensnared. So I say to you, the choice, of course, is always yours. The choice, and they let you have that choice. And sooner or later, you're going to have to make that. Where are you? Sooner or later, you're going to have to make that choice. So, that's really all I wanted to say in today's video. It's a bit philosophical and a bit sort of whatever, I don't know really. But thank you for watching if you did. And perhaps those non-enjoying of men smoking a pipe got away quite easily. Till next time, bye-bye.